Whoa, what's up you fellas? Haz here. What are we talking about today? Of course man, you fellas already know this. We're gonna do another RPG review. Bro, this time we're gonna talk about one of top 10... this time we're gonna talk about a game that's in old Haz's top 10 RPGs of all time, man. It's the sequel to Dark Cloud, man. Dark Chronicle. Bro, you fellas have no idea how pumped I am to talk about this one, eh? Oh, sup big here, what are you clapping for, man? You've really improved a lot. You're not stuttering so much anymore. I think you've been taking lessons. Bro, I'm not playing this game, man. You won't get the jandal from me today. You're really doing well. You are doing really well, man. Huh? It's supposed to be, you are doing really well, man. I know. Wow. Shame, man. I told you, get out of here, bro. I got these reviews. Oh, just between you and me, I am learning a little bit, eh? Oh, he is helping me, eh? But let's never tell him that. Bro, he's got an ego the size of the Milky Way, man. Bro, not that Milky Way, man. The stars and the galaxies one, bro. You know, you smart fellas will know what I'm talking about. Anyway, enough of that, man. Let's waste no more time. Oh, Dark Chronicle was developed by Level 5A and was released in the West way back in 2003, man. Even though I have the original copy I purchased over 15 years ago for the PS2, I'm reviewing the PS4 version for you fellas today. And once again, of course old Haz snagged that platinum trophy, man. Why would I not do this for one of my all-time favorite RPGs? So let's get things going by talking about the graphics, man. Bro, such a huge level up from Dark Cloud. This game just looks beautiful, man, even now in 2018. This hand-painted style has really stood the test of time, eh? The environments, characters, creatures and FX all work together so cohesively to give you that all-round warm and inviting sensation that's just a joy to be a part of, man. I'm sure that 10 years from now, we'll be able to look back and say exactly the same thing, man. I'm confident it will still have that timeless charm. I want to make a special mention, for the design aspects of this game. Bro, I feel like Level 5 really took it to a whole new level with Dark Chronicle, Every single thing is a successful combination of cute and badass, man, along with comical exaggeration. It's really a treat to be immersed in this world they have created. I also felt that this time, graphically, it just feels a lot bigger than Dark Cloud. It's almost as if Level 5 discovered that the PS2 was capable of so much more, so they really pushed it, This is evident in the complexity of the dungeon floor graphics, man. The interactable objects and the particle effects, man, this becomes so clear if you have marathoned your way through Dark Cloud 1 and then you jump straight into Dark Chronicle, man. Bro, there is also weather in this game, which is a really nice atmospheric touch that they added. Bro, I don't really have anything else to say, man. It looks awesome, and it's so rad to be able to play this on the PS4 with some smooth upscale graphics, man. Oh, what about the gameplay then? First of all, basic character control is rock solid now. The game camera behaves really well, and it feels a lot more responsive and controllable. It's easy to always have your character in view and facing towards any threats, especially important in combat, and it doesn't ever get out of control inside the buildings either. The bulk of Dark Chronicle will once again have the main character running through a series of large dungeons, floor by floor, and the mechanics of this hasn't really changed from Dark Cloud, You explore that particular floor, fight enemies until one of them drops an item that allows you to progress to the next level. There are still maps and magic crystals which reveal the floor layout and the locations of chests and monsters. Oh, that's like Dark Cloud 1, man. Once again, the dungeon and floor layouts are completely randomized, man. And this time Level 5 have really cranked up the system behind this, You will still find long straight corridors, but graphically they feel so different, bro. This isn't critical to adding gameplay, but I can't let it go unnoticed because the graphical updates to the complexity really draws you in, and it allows you to be way more immersed, man. The dungeons now also feature breakable objects which can be thrown at enemies. There is way more treasure chests, and now there are way more enemies than even the most enemy dense level in Dark Cloud, This really helps to give you the sense that there's always something to do, man,
and that you are never far away from finding something to loot, interact with, or beat up. Bro, look at the satisfying explosion of loot that pops out of every enemy you defeat, man.
Bro, how rad is that? This has got to be one of the first RPGs to ever have that kind of loot explosion, eh?
There is an overworld map that contains the main areas of the game that you will travel to along your journey. But there is also a floor layout, which is a really cool addition that lets you see your progression in the current dungeon. At the later stages of the game, these get pretty massive, eh? And the end game content? Whoa, you fellas, let's just say there's a lot of flaws there, man. There are only 2 playable characters in Dark Chronicle, but both of them have like a secondary form which basically both become mini games throughout your journey. For the main character, Max, you get a ride pod robot, bro. It's named, wait for it, I'll let you fellas guess, eh? Bro, it's Steve, man.
Wow, what a cool name, eh?
Bro, you can upgrade Steve with dozens and dozens of different parts that will allow him to run faster and hold a variety of attack weapons, from giant katana, hammers, drills, all the way through to dual missile pods, Gatling guns, and even straight up laser cannons, man. Monica's secondary form allows her to capture certain enemies, and then she can transform herself into those enemies for you, eh? You can control and rampage through the levels with them, man. Of course, you can level up each of those enemies, and several of them have branching secondary and then even final forms for you to reach. Bro, I recommend looking at a guide for this, eh? Because once you choose what evolution you want to grow your monsters into, it cannot be undone until the next playthrough, man. Real quick, one cute thing with this, if you turn yourself into the monster that actually exists in the dungeon you are fighting, they will not attack you, and instead you can have a little bit of a conversation with them, eh? Whoa, what a hard case, man. Being able to switch between Max and Monica, who each have that extra mode, really keeps combat interesting, eh? And you are encouraged to do so quite cleverly due to some enemies being particularly suited to combat for Steve only. You can also recruit NPCs to your team, eh, when you meet certain criteria. These do not appear in battle, but provide a secondary boost in some way to the team, such as offering sale of certain items, or maybe even affecting the chance of certain items dropping from the monsters. As per usual, level 5 has added in another layer of awesomeness, man. It's called the invention system. Basically, at some point early in the game, you are given a camera, and with it, you can take photographs of objects in the environment. You use those photographs as ideas, eh? Which you then combine together into an invention. The inventions can be new pieces of equipment or weapons for your 2 characters, as well as powerful usable items, and most importantly, ride pod upgrades for old Steve, man. Bro, you will find yourselves running around towns taking pictures of everything, man. Cups, barrels, lights, chairs, pipes. Bro, everything can be useful, man. This will have you spending hours running around making sure you have photographed every unique thing that is available. I recommend using a guide for that, eh? Just so you fellas have a checklist of all the things that can be photographed in any given area. Real quickly, I just want to say that some of those photographs are permanently missable, eh? If you miss that opportunity, bro, you can't go back and get it, man, it's done. And some of those opportunities lead to the most powerful weapons that you can get in the whole game, man, so you don't want to miss out. Bro, some of those photo opportunities are when the enemies are just about to smash you in the face, eh? Right when they're doing their attacks, you have to whip out the camera and snap that pic, man. There is also town building in Dark Chronicle, eh? It's called the Diorama mode, and it's very similar to the system that they established in Dark Cloud 1. It borrows heavily from that version, but there are some noticeable differences. At a certain point in the story, geostones will start appearing inside the dungeons, and those are brought back to this machine called the Carpenterion. And that machine turns those geostones into plans, which can be turned into stuff that you can build and populate your towns with. Each plan requires a bunch of loot in order to actually create, such as logs of wood, lumps of metal, and so on. You fellas remember those NPC characters I was talking about back there a little bit? Well, now you can actually assign them to some houses, eh? They can live inside the buildings in the towns that you build, bro. Pretty neat, man. But some of them are fussy, eh? So you fellas are gonna have to figure out what they like and what they don't like when you put them in the house, man. The fishing system has also had a huge overhaul. It is so in-depth now. You can upgrade and level up your fishing rods. There's also a huge variety of fish to catch, and there are now even fishing competitions to enter into and win great prizes. Bro, now there's even a mini game within the mini game, man. Basically, you can start to keep the fish that you catch in an aquarium. Then you guessed it, you can raise them, breed them, feed them, and then you can race them at the fish races. Bro, for more prizes. Man, it's so addicting, bro. I did this for hours trying to get that platinum, man. Woo! Lastly, minigame wise, at a certain point you will also unlock a golf-like game that is played in the dungeons called Sphere. Oh bro, this game is so addictive too, man. It basically works like this. A sphere will randomly appear somewhere on the map once you have defeated all of the enemies, and there is also a portal that also randomly appears somewhere nearby. The goal is to get the ball into the portal within a certain number of hits. This will result in an instant loot box, which can sometimes yield some amazing rewards, man.
Nope.
So what about combat, eh? Well, combat in Dark Chronicle feels nicely paced, man. There is a huge variety of enemies. Melee, ranged, mages, they're all there, man. And there's also a huge range of enemies that are very resistant now to certain attacks. There is also a huge range of combat-only attack items that you can throw at enemies, eh? When you combine that with the fact that both characters have a set of standard attacks with their primary weapons, ranged attacks with their secondary weapons, and then those secondary forms we talked about before, bro, the combat system is so complex, but it works so well, man. Leveling up is effectively handled again via upgrading weapons in Dark Chronicle. When you defeat an enemy, they will drop a fixed amount of ABS. That's those little blue balls that pop out every time you defeat an enemy, man. Now, each weapon has a certain amount of ABS required to reach its next level, and when you upgrade it, it adds a number of synthesis points to the weapon. Those synthesis points are used to synthesize items to your weapons, from pieces of loot through to gems and even other weapons. And those are the things that increase the stats of your weapons, making them stronger. A new feature in Dark Chronicle shows you the actual weapon tree, eh? And what you need to build up in order to unlock that path in the tree. Bro, pay attention to what you are synthesizing in order to ensure you are working towards the next big upgrade to your weapon, man. Also, do you fellas remember my Dark Cloud review? I mentioned that weapons could break if you didn't repair them, and then they would be gone forever, man. Well, thankfully you fellas, that's not the case anymore in Dark Chronicle. When the weapon breaks, it can still be used after it is repaired. Woo! Really quickly, I want to get in this last really cool thing, eh? Back before achievements and trophies were even a thing, Dark Chronicle added this nifty little feature that awards players with medals for achieving certain tasks on every dungeon floor, such as finishing the floor within a certain time, catching a certain sized fish in the dungeon, or defeating all of the enemies using a certain character or with certain items only. Of course, Old has collected every medal on every floor in every dungeon. I'm just saying that to once again make it clear that I am the champion of RPG gaming, bro. I can't be touched. So let's take a second to talk about the sound, eh? I don't really have too much to cover here, eh? Because it's legitimately good all round. The voice acting is very high quality. The main characters have very likable and listenable voices.
Oh, I'm soaked.
Bro, back in those days there was always some characters that had terrible voices, man. But not this game. Having said that, there is a little voice clip that I just got used to saying over and over again as I was playing through this game. In fact, I started using it in real life when I was cooking eggs, feeding the dogs, cleaning the dishes. Bro, it goes a little something like this, eh?
Alright, that takes care of you guys.
Wow, that takes care of you guys. Bro, Max says that every single time he defeats all of the enemies on a floor of a dungeon, man. The music and the sound effects are all very good too. I especially love the staggering number of variations in the sound effects that were created for Steve the Ride Pod and his multitude of weapons and movement attachments. Bro, you should check them out, eh? So what about the story in Dark Chronicle? You fellas know what? The story is probably the most in-depth out of all the RPGs that I've reviewed up until this point. I love that it was shown to us via entertaining cutscenes and spoken dialogue, not just text to read on the screen like Dark Cloud was. I would rather not divulge any of the details or spoil it for you guys, but it's a very warm tale of discovery that involves family, relationships, time traveling, and even a bit of a love story that, surprisingly enough, it doesn't even revolve around the main two characters, man. At the end of this game, I don't think there will be any characters that you will hate, and unlike many games today, once the story is over, it all makes pretty damn good sense despite some intricacies surrounding the time travel. I really enjoyed this adventure, and it felt like I was right there with Max and Monica and along with them for the ride. The story does feel motivated by some pretty basic human instincts that are easy to grasp instead of being far-fetched and hard to believe. Bro, and you fellas know what? If you choose to really extract the most out of the Dark Chronicles and go for that platinum, bro, you will come across our old friend the Darky Nai.
Can you fellas believe that? Man, he made it all the way into this game, bro. Bro, I'm so happy to see that giant purple fella, even after he caused all those problems in Dark Cloud 1, man.
Now, if I had to call out some issues I had with the game, I would have to get insanely picky. There are some cutscene sequences that can be quite long, and even when equipped with the skip scene function, they are so numerous and in such a long way from the save points that when you combine that with a boss fight that you need to capture a rare photo in for those inventions, oh come on, level 5. Some of the levels also contain unreachable areas on either side of the passages where you can actually run. They provide a frustrating hazard when all you are trying to do is play a good game of speeder, and the ball lands on those spots, man, because it doesn't even register as out of bounds, bro. And if you're collecting those medals, that means you have to do the whole level again, man. Lastly, there is one more thing. It's actually pretty critical, You can crash this game every single time if you do this. I think people were hoping that level 5 patched this out, but they didn't, man. It's still there. Whatever you do, do not try to craft items while you're inside a dungeon. You'll be able to craft the item, but as soon as you try to exit out of the menu, the game will blue screen, man. Every time, bro. You fellas are probably like, bro, this game sounds so awesome for an old RPG, man. And Old Hairs is here to tell you that if you have not played it, you need to stop everything that you are playing right now and enjoy this iconic piece of RPG history. Every RPG fan simply must play Dark Chronicle. No excuses. Do not pass go.
Nope.
Do not collect $200.
Nope.
Go straight to the PlayStation Store and buy it right now, man. Bro, let me tell you fellas something. At the end of this game, Old Hairs felt so sad, bro. So sad that it was over and that I would never be able to set foot in the Dark Cloud, Dark Chronicle universe ever again. And for those reasons and everything that I have listed, that's why it has a very worthy place in my top 10 RPGs of all time.
Bro, I give this game a total score of 9.5 D9Es out of 10. Bro, that's nearly a perfect score, man. It really is that good, man. Hurry up and go and get it right now. But firstly, you fellas should go and click on that like and subscribe buttons and dingling that bell, Old Hair's gonna give you 3 seconds. 3 seconds. 3 seconds to sort that out right now. Hurry up, Are we good? Are you sure? See you fellas on the next one.
Wow, that takes care of you guys.